Hi everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you everybody for coming back to my channel. Thank you so much for listening in the podcast, and thank you so much for subscribing here on YouTube. And if you're listening on Spotify, thank you so much for following me on Spotify and answering the polls and the questions that I put there. Really means a lot for me to see you guys interacting. So thank you also the people who listen on the Apple Podcast, on iHeartRadio, Amazon, and every other platform that you get this podcast from. I just want to say, come here, guys, and give you an update about the Mica Miller death. Okay, we know. I think I came yesterday and I spoke to you guys about the sudden death of Mica Miller, Pastor JP wife, who was found dead on last weekend at a state park. Okay, let me just tell you something. Her cause of death has been released earlier this afternoon. In case you haven't heard yet, the medical examiner confirmed, okay, the medical examiner confirmed today that Micah Miller died from a self-inflicted, and you guys know what it is. I don't want to say everything detail by detail because I don't want this video to be censored, or I don't want to trigger anybody. So if you guys if topics like this about what we're discussing here might trigger you or somebody who's listening with you, please be aware. I should have said that earlier. Please be aware. I think a lot of people listening to this and watching this are following up on the death of Micah Miller, and we know the first thing that was said about that, right? So I do apologize. So here's the update, guys. The medical examiner confirmed today, earlier this afternoon, that Micah Miller did die indeed from a self, and you guys know the rest, right? The reason that I'm saying it like that is this. Do we know that there's a lot of red flags on this marriage that Micah Miller and Pastor JP, I believe his name is, had? Yes. Here's the thing, guys. This news has been trending for the past couple days. It seems as though everybody's talking about somebody dying, and the way she died, okay, is something that a lot of people right now are struggling with. So please, I could have come here and tell you more details about what happened and how a lot of people don't believe the husband, all of that. We can all of that. There are people who are going detail by detail about this marriage. Please keep in mind, okay, that this just happened. You have a family who's grieving her death right now. You have a ex-husband that had a troubled marriage with her. It's very obvious, okay? Who went to church this past Sunday and was greeted by a protest of people outside demanding justice for her death. And you guys know that I'm all about um, s- going against domestic violence, and I hate that, and I hate divorce, all of that stuff. You guys know where I stand on that. But please, there's something called prudence. I think I've spoken about this before, that we as people, specifically speaking about people of God, people who are ministers in the church, she was a worship leader in the church. There's a lot of people right now who her death is very people who love her, right? Friends and family. I mean, her funeral just happened, okay? Her funeral just happened. Her life is completely being exposed right now. All the trouble that she had with her marriage, everything is being exposed right now, and I'm guilty of that. I came here and made a video about it and give you more details, and I said, he's probably responsible because we have so many cases similar to this. But just as I was getting ready to give you this update about what the medical examiner just said, God said to me, people need to take it, calm down on this. This news seems to be everywhere, and this is a very unfortunate thing that happened. Um, Whatever the case may be, it's very unfortunate for somebody to lose their life. But we need to know that it's so recent. There are people grieving still. And even if he was somehow responsible, he might be still grieving. Okay? Let me just tell you something. If he's responsible, he's not going to get away with it. I think people are just, I think that what the church leadership did to release him of his duties of pastoring the church was a great decision. I think that was really good because I couldn't believe that the day after he found out she died, he's out there preaching. Like, nobody else could take that position. Like, come on. Um, Nobody else could jump in and like help out. And maybe they offered and he declined. Like I said before, I said in my previous video, he shouldn't be talking to the press right now. I think the press and every other person out there, like me, like a blogger, podcaster, is just going into details by details about this marriage, basically exposing everything that they can get their hands on. And you hear like on videos, and you turn on the Good Morning America, they're talking about her, they're talking about the husband and everything she posted on Facebook. And I think like I said, it's so sensitive, everything surrounding what happened with her, that we need to know people are still, that what happened, like she's no longer here, and that's so fresh right now in the friends and family that are still basically processing everything that happened. So for somebody to just here's the thing, I know there's red flags, you guys know that I come here and spoke about a lot of crimes like this and things that happen. And it's a human nature, right? You cannot help it but think, oh, he's responsible because this and the other. And I said on my previous video, start looking at Google searches, right? Start looking for surveillance videos. Somebody must have seen something. Do I know that a lot of people who commit things like this, what the medical examiner said today about her and how she died, do I think it's very odd? Because when you are in that mental state, from what we've seen from other previous cases, people don't usually drive up to the state park to do something like this, right? And they do it in their privacy or their home, right? But just as I'm telling you guys this, and I was gonna say that before, I'm like, wait a second, but she wasn't really living at home. She was staying with friends, right? Because she had left the home. She was planning to divorce him. So she was still staying with friends. So that's another thing, right? Like a second ago, I was just thinking, man, it's true what they say that he's responsible, because people who are in this state, a lot of the times, from what we've seen, now that I know subjects and things like that, it's just a statistic. A lot of the times, people who commit something like that to harm themselves, they don't usually drive up to the state park and do it. Okay, they usually do it in the secrecy of their home, right behind closed doors. But she wasn't really at home, so she didn't really have a home. So if you think about it, here you are, your friends are opening your home to give you time to heal with whatever it is, the situation that you're going in right now. Like, some of her friends already came out and said, we were talking about helping her pay for her car. Like, she was in a very low mental state. For somebody to not only seek shelter, that's something that you have to think about. Not only seek shelter, asking, how, figuring out how to pay her car, filing for divorce, paying a lawyer, and then putting a restraining order basically against her husband. That's, basically your life is crumbling down. You have to think about that. So if people say, why would she drive to a park to do that? People usually do it at home. She didn't really have a quote unquote home, if you think about it. She had moved to a friend's house, from what I believe. Like I said, the information can change so rapid here because it's so fresh. This just happened. The medical examiner just released earlier today what the cause of her death was, right? So I had said, I posted earlier, we're waiting on a full investigation of the case of Mica Miller. Um, and then now I'm thinking about the pastor, right? He knows that a lot of the times when things like this happen, especially when there's a divorce filing in the middle, especially when she had left the home earlier this year, how can he not think that he's going to be looked at, right? Especially when she put a restraining order against him. How can he not think? So when you already think that you're going to be guilty or falsely accused of something, yours, like he was talking a lot. I noticed that. And showing up to the service also, he's almost like he's trying to, by trying so hard to not create suspicions around him, he actually make himself so suspicious, right? So you have to also think about stuff like that. This is so new, and you have to allow, I guess, the family to at least process the news of her passing first before you trying to. So let us know how their relationship was. Like, all the details that are floating to the surface about their life is just a little, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that I'm mad. It's just a little too much. Like 3 days ago, like, for the general public, I guess you can say, we didn't really know who they were, right? And now we have these details, and it's like, wait, she just passed. Like, this is still very fresh. People need to have some type of prudence and not release everything they know so fast. We need to, calm down. I think for the pastor, he knows that everything kind of will point down to him because there's so many other things that are like, how can they not think of that? And because of that, I think that's what is getting him so nervous, that he's like, man, if I don't, this is just me assuming, I don't know him, right? If I don't show up to the church the next day, they probably think that I'm trying to do something high evidence or whatever, right? Because, you know, we're so quick, the media is so fast, and this case has been like top trending for the last 48 hours. And it's not about somebody dying, it's about their life and their divorce and what she posted. And I understand, guys, like, I'm more against domestic violence. I get there had issues. I get that she left the home. I get that there was a restraining order. I get all of that. But you have to see things play out, meaning the formal investigation, okay? A lot of the times when people, let me, just for me, just from a couple years, like doing YouTube and things like that, and following crime cases, a lot of the times the husband will try to hide it so well, right? That's why, you wait from the investigation. It's not so obvious that he keeps mentioning, people say he keeps mentioning she had a mental illness, excuse me. He keeps mentioning that she struggled with this in the past. A lot of the times you don't see that from somebody who is um who had nothing to do with it, okay? A lot of the times, but maybe I'm mispronouncing what my point here. Like, a lot of the times, the husband, when they're responsible, they usually say, I have no idea what happened. um she always seems so happy. Like, they will try to lie about it. They will never be so open about it. And I know it's weird, and I know it can sound like odd, but this is why this is so, like, I feel like for me, like I never heard of them before until this news came out, and I know a lot of people don't know. And I understand that her friends are coming out and talking and saying, well, she said this and the other. You have to wait for the formal investigation too, right? That's why we have professionals doing their job, doing all of that. And you know that God is not gonna let him just get away with it if he's responsible. So let things play out. Like we just had the medical examiner come out and say the actual cause, right? And like I said, like before I even started this video, I was like, there's no way she will drive up to a state park and do that. People do that usually at home. She wasn't living at home, right? Now that makes sense, right? Well, why would she do that? Her friends open her doors to live in her home for a couple months until she get things sorted out, and then they're gonna find her like that, and like she's gonna do that and make their friends go to finding her like that in their own home. That's another thing, it's just it can change so fast. That's why you have to wait. We know that mental health is something that a lot of people are struggling with right now, and that's also a reality. So thank you guys so much for coming back to my channel. Let me know what you guys think about this developing news about her cause of death, said today by the Robertson County Medical Examiner. Thank you guys so much for coming back to my channel. Have a good night. God bless.